Good morning, guys. Hey, thank you very much for everybody that's been watching, subscribing. We just hit 10,000 subscribers last night. I meant to make this video before we hit 10,000 subscribers, but that last video about that bus conversion blew up a lot faster than I thought it would. I guess it did a lot better than I thought it was going to do. So I picked up a lot of subscribers from that video, and I didn't get a chance to put this video together yet. So I'm sorry about that. Welcome to everybody else who's joined us. And here's that 10,000 subscriber video. Thank you. Question and answer. And we're set up in my office here. Hopefully this sounds a little bit better. I put a microphone on. No rubber gloves. No squeaking hands. Again, just let me say first off, thank you very much for everybody that's watching. It's really quite amazing that you guys have been following me along, and I really do appreciate it. So let me first off say, I'm not a really that comfortable staring into a camera and talking to it. So if it looks awkward, it's because it is awkward. I know it seems weird that a YouTuber would say that, but nevertheless, here we are. So first off, my name is James. I don't know if you can see James right there. My company is RV Experts. It says right there. I have over 20 years in the RV repair business, and it's not something I ever planned on doing. I fell into this RV repair business, RV industry itself, once I was discharged from the U.S. Army. I only spent one enlistment in. I was a tank mechanic. My MOS was a 63 Echo, a M1A1 Abrams tank hull mechanic. So I didn't work on the turret and the gun. I worked on what the turret and the gun sat in. Of course, after I went to my advanced training, the Army and its brilliant sent me to an engineer battalion with some pretty old, outdated Cold War equipment that I was not trained on at all. At one little tiny camp in Korea. That was Camp Castle. That camp's all gone now. They closed that one down. After my 1 year in Korea, they did send me to a CAV unit. I went to the 3rd ACR and when they were in Fort Carson, Colorado. And then when I got out of the Army, I came back home. I grew up in Arizona, and I was thrust upon the world, and I had to find a job. Long story short, I started with a little dealer, Little Prices here in Mesa. They're a local dealer. Probably have the best showroom I've ever seen as far as makes me want an RV. I then went to another very large multi-state dealership. I stayed with them for 13 years or so. I won't give out their information. We'll just call them the Table. I wouldn't say I left in great terms with them, but they did ask me not to come back. I did learn an awful lot working at the dealership. They did send me to a lot of training, and I learned quite a bit about Winnebagos and your basic overall troubleshooting and RV industry operations. While at that very large Table dealership, I had a service advisor. His name was Richard. He was a body guy who did RV paint and body, and he wanted to get out of paint and body, become a service advisor. He set out on his own, started his own dealership, and that's Cassone's RV that I'm actually parked at right now. He's been very impressive. When I left that dealership, I used him as a safe resting place to gather my thoughts and my goals. I worked for him for about a year and a half. It was a great opportunity for me because at the big dealership, I was just one tiny little cog in a big machine. I didn't have to worry about parts, calling extended warranties, dealing with customers. I was just the guy in the shop, pretty removed from the whole ordeal. That's not to say I didn't have a lot of customer interactions. Even starting at a little dealer, If you got a PDI or a sold coach, it was your responsibility, because basically all they sold was pop-up trailers and travel trailers. You had to do the orientation. So very early on, I was always doing walkthroughs with the new owners. That did carry on into my big dealership. They, for some reason, never had a walkthrough department. And somehow I found myself being the walkthrough department for the better part of 8 years while being a full-time mechanic there. So when I came over to Cassone's RV, it's a smaller dealership. So on the service side, we didn't have service advisors, parts managers, parts departments, warranty departments. So you became somebody wearing many, many hats. So it was really at Richie's or Cassone's RV where I learned how to actually be a true mechanic, a very well-rounded mechanic, and learn how to work through problems and find parts, order parts, get authorizations, and of course, make sure customers were satisfied. I started RV Experts with a good friend who was a mechanic at the big table dealership also. His name was Bob, hence the Expert. So he, his story's for another time, I suppose, but he ultimately followed his dream and bought a RV campground in Tennessee, Bailetton RV. It's a KOA just outside the Smoky Mountains, and I haven't been able to visit him, and it's been one of my big regrets in the last few years that I haven't been able to get over there and take a look at the campground he put together. I'm pretty proud of him on that one. So what is RV Experts and what does it do? Some of you might have seen some of my videos where I have retro trailers, especially that 61 Bambi. While at Cassone's RV, we did that restoration on that 61 Bambi. And I found myself, I really enjoyed doing the trailer restorations and the trailer builds. So my idea was, because I had positioned my personal life where I didn't have to work so hard anymore. I wanted to do what I would call semi-retirement. And I opened up a shop. I was going to do small trailer builds and trailer restorations, and maybe do a few side RV mobile repairs to pay the bills, since trailer restoration is not going to make you rich, put it that way. I ran into a service advisor I used to work with at Walmart one day, and he was now at a smaller dealership, and he said they needed some help getting some RV work done. And so I went to that smaller dealership, did some RV repairs for them, and they were very pleased, and they kept bringing me back. And it was a strange situation because, again, it wasn't what I was set out to do, but it was almost identical with what I've been doing for 15 years and a lot less stressful. Well, at the time it was, and a little bit more rewarding. And so then I found myself to become what I would call a dealer, an RV dealer support company. Although RV Experts does do a lot of customer repairs outside of dealerships, my main, or RV Experts' main customer base has been RV dealerships. So that's why you might see videos with me at all sorts of different dealerships. The downside to that was that I found myself even busier than I wanted to be, supporting all these dealerships, and not doing a lot of RV restoration or small trailer builds. I know I get asked quite a bit, what's the name of my company? Where am I located? Where's the shop at? I've actually physically shut down my shop location because I just wasn't there enough to justify the expense of it, and because I wasn't doing trailer restorations or small trailer builds like I wanted to. Having a shop that I wasn't doing that at was just, I found it to be more stressful and more irritating. And so shutting down the shop got rid of at least that irritation from me. And of course, a lot of people ask what my website is or where my internet presence is. I've found that social media and internet, and in its most general sense, caused me a lot more stress and anxiety than any benefit I got out of it. I don't have a website or a Facebook page or any real online presence for RV experts. I haven't found it to be useful for me, which does obviously bring up the important question, why do you have a YouTube channel? That's a good question. When I started the channel, I do have a number of pretty older subscribers that should know the channel was not an RV channel when it took off, or when I started it. It was really just a way to document some of the activities I was doing with my family and some of my interests. So most of my early videos were going to be Lego related, silver, coin hunting, and maybe some family videos. My favorite thing about Facebook is that it's an online journal, so you can relive your life 4, 5, 6 years down the road and go, oh yeah, that's what was going on. But I didn't like the rest of Facebook. It became too toxic to me. So I like the idea of having this online record to show my family what my day was. And as an RV mechanic, if you're an RV technician, it's really hard to explain what you do all day because every day is so different. Because as an RV technician, you're more akin to like a handyman, but not just a residential handyman. You have to know so many different fields and so many different trades that obviously you're not good at any of them. You just know enough to be dangerous. And so it's very difficult to explain to people what you do all day because sometimes it's very complicated and convoluted. So I found YouTube to be a way to at least document what I was doing and why I was doing it. I had one of my early subscribers was actually a friend. He said, hey man, I really like all your RV videos, but after an RV video comes up, you get some weird Lego video, and I don't like that. It's weird. And so I took his suggestion at heart. Thank you, Josh. And then I just made all those Lego videos private. So I know I did have a viewer and subscriber ask me, what is it I do in my personal life outside of RVs? And I did share a Game On Expo where we went and sold a whole bunch of, I guess, nerd related stuff, because I guess in my heart I am a nerd. I do like nerd related things like video games, Legos, different collectibles. So here's actually a video of just my front room. You'll see it's not something that I guess a normal middle-aged man should be having. It was a lot of fun. My kids really enjoyed Legos, and I like enjoying time with my kids because my kids are pretty much my life. The downside to that is that my kids grew up and they moved out of my house and they lost interest in the things that we were doing. And I'm always just trying to find things to share with them. A lot of my early videos also included my disaster pool. Those videos are very rough. I kept them up there because that was a lot of work putting all those videos together, and I didn't know what I was doing most of the time. The pool is in great shape. Behold the pool. Even since the last disaster video I made, I hadn't had to do anything major. I just maintain it, clean it. I haven't even, I haven't done anything. It's in great shape. No leaks, and the plumbing's held up. I have a question. Why do I have a dog at the end? And I get that a lot, actually. What's with the weird ending graphic? My daughter, years ago when I started this channel, she had a digital arts class in school, and she had to make a digital art project. And we had just gone on a hike, and we put this photo shoot together, and she made that that picture of me riding my dog, and I thought it was funny, and I thought it was and so every time I put it up there, it basically reminds me of the time we had together. It's also a fun little ending, I guess, make sure people know that I'm not completely a serious angry, frustrated person. That dog's name is Finn. He's all my dogs have been rescued. He's an exceptional rescue. He had been returned 3 times. He's an emotionally, I wouldn't say damaged, but he's emotionally a basket case, because I think he's part Chihuahua, because you can kind of see it in his face, but he's also like a boxer. So very weird mix, and he's my best friend, but he can be a handful. So there you go. His name is Finn. Now, my next question was about what software editing I use, what equipment I use. I am not high tech whatsoever. I use my phone, which is a Note, what's that? Samsung Note 9, I think. A long time I used well, not a long time. Originally I had a GoPro, but I don't know anybody else with a GoPro. But I can tell you I have nothing but problems with that GoPro. I can't tell you how many videos I lost because the camera turned off, audio didn't work, files got corrupted. I've never had that issue with my phone. The video qualities here and there, it's not the best quality. Sometimes it's good quality, sometimes it's not. My video editing software, Cyberlink Power Director 16. When I was at one of the expos, I went to a panel. At that panel was another local YouTuber, Retail Archaeology. I'll put a tag there somewhere. And I asked him that same question. And he was using the same program too. Based on a Google search, it seemed like something people were using also. I don't have a Mac. I know Macs probably have the best video editing to it. I'm not a Mac guy. I know that Apple is a far superior product, but I'm not ready to switch my life to Apple at this point, because it's a big commitment, put it that way. There's all the Adobe programs out there. They all look like they're more subscription based, so each month you have to pay for it. And I just like the idea of owning the software and learning the one software. So that's why I went with Cyberlink. You just have to pay for it that one time. My computer, I picked this thing up 3, 4. It's been 6 years. It's a pretty old computer now. So it's just a laptop computer. It wasn't top of the line when I got it. I'll get the specs on it. Maybe I'll put the information up right there. Maybe a picture of it. On some of my earlier videos, you'll see my laptop, especially in that pool video. So this is nothing high tech that I'm doing here. My phone, Cyberlink Power Director 16, and my laptop. Nothing powerful. My future plans are very strange and up in the air. I could do this for another 20, 30, 40 years and probably do just fine. But I did pick up some property up north, and that's why I picked up that Terry travel trailer to rebuild and set up on some property, which is why I wasn't too concerned about its condition on the outside. And it's been up there for a year. It's been a good house for rats. I do visit it periodically, but this world situation's made getting work done up there a little bit more difficult with the well, septic, and fencing. So it's been something I've been trying to work through. What are my plans to do up there? I would ideally like to build a shop. I'm a big fan of off-grid living. I'm a big fan of tiny homes, and I'm a big fan of trailer restoration. So I'm hoping that maybe I can set up shop up there, have a shop right next to the house, and enjoy the confines of, I guess, peace a little bit more up there. That being said, I don't know if that's ever going to work out. I have filmed, I can't tell you how many videos. I thought about putting another channel together where I would share what's going on up there. If you guys think that's a good idea, I guess you can let me know. So yeah, unconventional business model, to say the least. It's not something I planned on doing. The unconventional business model is kind of encapsulated in my shop truck here. I do have a 2015 Prius as my shop truck. I did have some questions about tools, what I thought about tools. what I might do is I'll put a second video together about my the tool truck walkthrough, because I even watch all those, but you guys will be very, very disappointed by it. But I can also tell you that I am amazed every day what I'm able to do out of this Prius shop truck. And even people that I do dealer support, and everybody always says, well, I was expecting a van, I was expecting a truck. And they all say, wow, I didn't know you could do all that out of a Prius. This video is probably getting a little long. I really do appreciate everybody that's followed me along in my adventure on this. I did not expect anywhere close to this kind of support. I know all I do is watch YouTube for the most part. When I watch YouTubers, I try to take note of how they do things. What I didn't want to do in any of my videos was put the link to subscribe, hit the bell, put notifications, thumbs up. I thought that felt not like something I would do. So that's why I've only ever put the thing at the end of the video. I figured if you like what I did and you wanted to subscribe, that'd be fantastic. But I didn't want to irritate anybody. So I'm really amazed that everybody on their own decided to subscribe to the channel. I hope to keep making a lot of these videos. For the most part, you guys see one video for about every 5 or 6 that I've filmed. There's at least 3 or 4 on the computer that I never put together, and I keep thinking I'm going to do, but I never edit together. Some are easier to edit than the others, but I do hope keep making these videos. I don't imagine I'll ever do strictly RV reviews. I made note in some of my videos that most of my customers wouldn't like it if I gave a true review. And so, as excited as I am about RVs, and I've always loved RVs, I always loved the entire concept of RVs, hence off-grid and tiny home living, has always appealed to me because I've always wanted to run away. It's always been my goal to run away. It hasn't worked out that way. So just doing strictly RV walkthroughs and reviews, I don't imagine I'll just go around with a camera looking at RVs. I'm not very eloquent. My vocabulary sticks between good and really. But I do hope to keep putting out a lot of these videos. These roof inspections that I had a viewer suggest, been a pretty good series for me. So to be honest, it's nice because I can edit those really quickly and they're a lot more enjoyable to put together. Really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me. Really. The comments are surprisingly very positive and upbeat, and it's been enjoyable to read most of the comments from everybody. I've enjoyed meeting a lot of the viewers who contact me, and I do my best to answer emails or comments looking for help. I can't help everybody. I don't get to see every single comment. I have a small channel, but there's a lot of comments and it's hard for me to go through all of them after working 14-hour days. But I do my best. It's probably been one of my longer videos. It's going to take a while for me to edit this together. Let me just end by saying again, thank you very much for watching. And I hope we have a lot of fun in the future. I have some plans. But at any rate, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And you have a great day. Thanks again for 10,000 subscribers. Hopefully the channel keeps growing and we keep enjoying things and learning a lot. Bye. I did forget to give out some advice, or the best advice I have to give about RVs. If you're never RV'd before and you're thinking about RVing, before you buy, rent an RV. See if you enjoy it before you make the investment. And of course, before you buy an RV, have it inspected. My notes. Hey guys! Ooh, glasses off.